Can you hear me?
Oh, good. So I am connecting. Wonderful stuff. Let's see how this works out today. Okay. Cool. So I am going to trust the process because it's all right. Jack, how you doing?
Hey, I'm right. How's it going?
All
Just under a
good.
little
All
bit of
good.
weather, with the weather down, but I'm good.
Good. As long as you're good, it's all good in the neighborhood. So,
Yeah.
as life would have it, there is some measure. Let's see if I am streaming because we always have to double check. Perfecto. Hello and welcome to everybody on Facebook. We're just a few minutes late. Well, of course, technology will always play stunts the way it does play stunts. But nonetheless, we are thankful that we are here live on multiple platforms. So this is always a fantastic thing. Are having an interview, a quick interview, but it's going to be literally strategically placed all around property investing. It's not just going to be, so Taurai, tell us and tell us. It's going to be teaching and tell us. So Taurai, I trust that you have brought all, all of your property investor guru stuff with you, along with you, the Lord of the North, Taurai Jack, Lord of the North. We see you. We see you. So I see that there's been a few people that have logged in, happiness, and people are coming in. So you see, this is always a very, very good thing. Okay, cool. So there we go. 100%. So guys, again, a good welcome. I've seen a number of people are logged in and we are still streaming. So yes, I will get to your comments, I promise. I'm going to try and do this in the nicest way possible where I can still see our Zoom screen, okay? And those that are joining us on Zoom, you can comment as you so wish. And then for those that are on Facebook, I'm going to try and see that there's no echoing and things like that going on if I've got both of them open, just so that I can answer some of the questions that come along and all those lovely things. So cool. I trust that all of this, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Good stuff. So guys, just do forgive because I'm going to try my best to toggle both. If I'm not successful, what I do promise is I will answer your questions at the end. I really promise you that I will try my best to do so. How has been your day?
It's been all right. Thanks, Jen. How's it going?
Always good on my side, always good in the neighborhood, as I say. I'm going to go jump right into it because, I thought I'd first take a few minutes because of technology. So I want to find out from you, Taurai. So what inspired you to get into property investing?
Well, is it property investing? Look, it's just one of those things where I'm just trying to be me, putting food onto the table. And I was in the corporate space, and I knew that I didn't want to work in the corporate space for a very long time. So I was trying to do other things, and I mean, as most people would know, I ventured out into multiple business whilst I was at the job, and yeah, I did a bit of research around it in everything else that I did, so people know. I did. For some people that don't know, I had a
Yes, I
diaper
was just
business
about
at
to say
some
there are
point.
some people that may not know you.
Yeah. So I had some diaper business at some point. I had some chicken business at some point. But in all of this, I did my research to make sure that I'm going in, I'm doing where I'm putting my money at that particular time, I was going to get the returns that I was looking for. Yeah. So eventually, when property came in via a seminar that I attended, again, it was just about putting food on the table. Yeah.
No, certainly. That's it's always something that we aspire to be as people. We are conditioned into we must grow older, we must do things the right way, put food on the table. And I think from a guy's perspective, tell us more, like why put food on the table? Was it just you, or was it you and your family?
What do you mean from a guy's perspective? I mean,
You
everyone needs to put food on the table, right?
No, no.
Um,
Okay, maybe I should shape it different. The
yeah,
reason I say that from a guy's perspective, the ladies, we are a lot more nurturing. So nurturing encompasses quite a bit. This is just a generalization. So to those that may
yeah,
not fit into this particular bit, it's a generalization. Please don't shoot me. But for most, us ladies are nurturing. Yes, the first thing is we want to have food on the table, whether we're alone or whether we are married.
yeah,
Whatever the case is, whether we partners in life. But there's this thing that I find with guys. Guys are driven by the fact that they are hunters. They are the guy, and they feel like, if I don't put food on the table, all hell will break loose type vibe. So that's really where I'm
yeah.
coming from.
Yeah, so I mean, look, if there's a guy out there who does not feel the drive to put food on the table, I don't know what kind of a guy that is. But my greatest desire was that I wanted to spend some quality time, and I think a lot of people misunderstand this quality time. For me, it was quality and quantity.
Absolutely.
If you've got a job, you kind of like working, you're spending like 2/3 of your time either commuting and being at the job. So you're spending less and less time with your family. So for me, that was one of my key things that I wanted to spend time with my family. That's number one. And then in terms of quantity, and also to be able to provide a quality lifestyle. So recently I got to start getting a taste of going on holidays, buying expensive gifts and things like that. And it's things that I never used to think of when I was dependent on the employer, because the money could only stretch you to X amount. So you do not think beyond that X amount. So now when you're now beginning to have, or you dream a little bit, you can now provide the quality. Neither am I saying that buying expensive stuff is quality, but simple things like, for instance, uh, picking up Hope at school and dropping her off, and picking up Tawana and spending some time with him, doing nonsense. That's quality time for me, and that's things that I never used to have. But for some people that have a job that allows them to do that, that again, that's quality. Yeah. So I suppose people have different reasons why they do these things. For me, when I ventured out into property, this was one of my other reasons. And I
Mm,
also wanted to make sure that I'm able to provide without being dependent on my employer, because
absolutely.
I've been retrenched a couple of times, and I know
Yeah,
how
that's a
painful it
painful
was.
yeah, that is definitely painful. I've also been down there twice,
Yeah,
from a contract
yeah,
position and from a what do you call it, a permanent position. Yeah.
yeah. So at least if you've got some incomes or a business that you can control, you are in control of that income. And that's what I love about properties, because I'm in control of that income. I'm not dependent on someone else, be it the employer. People are making decisions for you, and you're not even so sure what's going to happen, whether you can come back tomorrow or not. So
Absolutely.
for me, that's people speak of freedom. For me, that's freedom. I know where we're going. I'm in the driving seat. Yeah,
Wonderful stuff. No, thank you so much for your insights. A lot of the times people don't really realize the resources. And again, mind some of my generalizations. I really just want to capture the moment in what's going on in my mind and what I observe. And by no means do I ever want to put somebody into a box. And you'll hear me making
Yeah.
that disclaimer a number of times when I speak, because it's not to put anyone in the box. But what I do realize is that, you know, being in the working place, it can be really, really tough. It can be really, really tough. In fact, so those that are tuned in that didn't see the obvious link between TJ and I, yes, that's my person. I am his person. We share the same last name. So just in case you think, she knows a bit too much about him, I think I should. How many years later? 9 years later, I think I should know a lot and still learn a whole lot more to come. So, you know, a lot of
Yeah.
the times we get into different ventures and we try to do the most. You know, one of the things that I just want to bring to your remembrance, you know, 8 years ago, about this time, we actually started as a couple, our first business, which was in the car rental business. And I can
Yeah.
remember it was like saying my vows straight into a business. But prior to that, we had decided we're not going to have a big splashy wedding. Instead, we're going to buy our house because at that time we knew it's not quite an asset because we had been reading Robert Kiyosaki's books. But in our minds, it was like we would rather have a house at a big flashy wedding. I remember that being
Yeah.
one of our topics. Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And also, it seems that December seems to be our new beginnings type of a month because exactly 3 years ago, we were done with our property investing education, the 3 day, 9 to 7, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. When we
Yeah.
were
So I
done,
mean,
yeah,
yeah. So that was a great eye opener, right?
yeah,
And look, I remember that like it was yesterday because those 3 days, Friday to Sunday, it was down in Rosebank for people who know Johannesburg,
at the
and
highest. Yeah.
yeah. And I remember, on the Friday we didn't have money, and we went with our patkos, and they asked us for it was lunchtime, and we went out into the mall, and we ate out our cold food in there. The room was pretty cold though for me. The next day I took like 45 jackets with me. Um,
I remember. But I mean, that's how they're
yeah,
going to control all this body heat and carbon dioxide of what was it, 100 or just over 100 people?
yeah. So I mean, I met some of those people today, and a lot of them haven't done anything, which is a little bit sad because you go into all of these training sessions, seminars, and for the few people they catch on to something and they make it work. And for the majority of people, some they just go in, and I don't know what happens there. But I'm grateful for that weekend because it just opened up my mind in terms of what can be done, the possibilities. And if I throw you back to some of my thinking there, when I knew that I didn't want to be the employer,
Yep,
I then realized that all the other businesses that I was doing, I was just doing it the wrong way.
absolutely. Yeah,
And
we're going to definitely expand upon that one shortly. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. Sorry to have cut you off there. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but we're definitely going to expand on that. It's just, for those that follow FHC Consulting, I want to say, guys, I got mad love for you. For those that are following M5 Property Addicts, I got mad love for you too. And for anyone that is looking at this today and thinking, but who are these people? I just really wanted us to give a bit of background before we get into talking about just the overall strategy of property investing and the common questions people keep asking. And I'm really hoping that in you sharing about how we got from 5 million rand in debt, for you holding up the banner for our household, being the head of the home, holding up that particular, I hope you've got your ornament with you. Because I'm just thinking to myself, my person, if you don't have your ornament with you, please can you go and get your ornament and then go back to your office. Guys, we're at the home office right now in two different spaces because we've got two different offices because we can't quite be working two different businesses in the same office. So if you haven't got your ornament with you, please, I would like and I would request from the bottom of my heart, for the sake of the FHC Consulting fans, as well as M5 Property Addicts fans, and anyone else that is joining, can we just see your ornament, please? Do you have it?
So the ornament is somewhere around. I mean, if
No,
I'm to go in, if
I
I'm
know
to go and
exactly
pick
where
it
it
up,
is.
or do you?
Yes.
I don't. So if I'm to go and fetch it right now, it might be another 3 hours before I come back again. So,
No, no, no,
I
no.
mean, the,
Play nice
the
with other
people that
kids. I am the host of
the
this
people that
particular
follow us,
interview.
that follow me on from an Empire Property Addicts, I mean, we have shown that. I'm happy to show it another time. You know,
No, but you see,
so
this is when my husband becomes no fun. My person, it's short right into the lounge, and it's on the cabinet right by the TV. You cannot miss it. So while
is
we're
it?
waiting for you, I'm just going to prep up everybody on what we're going to cover. So, like, I am putting a bit of pressure on him, guys. And it's with all the love and care, because it's not everybody that knows us. And, let's respect that one. So, this is why I'm putting a measure of pressure on the Lord of the North. This guy. This guy has got no manners. So anyway, guys, so let me give you a little bit more context as well. Being in a 9 to 5 job, both of us serial entrepreneurs, when we met each other, I'm sharing the background. Taurai, you can go and get your ornament, thanks. um Being in our 9 to 5 job, one of our greatest things, as TJ explained just now, is that we wanted to put food on the table. We wanted to have things that we may not have had, not just spoil our children. Okay, because right now my motto is, I'm going to teach my kids the things I didn't teach, because I'm not about to give them things that I didn't have. But am I going to make life a little bit more easier than it was for me when I was growing up, for TJ when he was growing up? Absolutely, absolutely, damn right about that. But there's one confession I have to make this evening, and I'm going to ask TJ in a minute, just in 1 minute, that confession as well. My confession is that, in as much as I wanted to put food on the table, deep, deep down inside of me, all I wanted to be or wanted to have was funds covering my necessary things monthly, right? And all I wanted to be is a teacher, teaching from experience, teaching the things that has built me, teaching, more on being an entrepreneur. Property investing wasn't on the cards for me to teach. That was my 2020 goal, because in my mind, in 2016, when I started the journey, I thought, at least give it 3 to 4 years to see what I could have possibly achieved, not knowing what we would have achieved. But deep, deep down, all I really wanted to be is a teacher. Now I am a teacher. I'm a teacher of entrepreneurship. I'm a teacher of online marketing. I'm a teacher of property investing, because these are the three things that I'm mastering right now. I'm moving from the beginner level to the intermediary level to the expert level in each of these different categories that I've mentioned, and then at different places. So, Taurai, what is your confession this evening? What was that deep, intricate feeling of, if I really had all my things covered, what would I be doing with my time?
uh, it's not a secret. I mean, it's like I mentioned before on here, so growing up, I've always been fascinated with different cultures, things like that, and my job kind of like allowed me to do that, because I used to travel a lot into Africa, um, and it's one of those things that I enjoy doing, and I'm glad that also my kids have started also, they enjoy not being at home. So
True.
yeah, so traveling is one of those things that that tick the box for me and my family as well, because not only it's not really just about traveling, but it's the quality of time that you spend when you're traveling, because obviously you're among um, foreign people, so you kind of like just gravitate to each other, so it creates that bonding element. And also there's a lot of learning that goes on about it, and it's learning from both you and your kids because it's a new environment. The discoveries, the memories. I remember the other time when we had gone to the other restaurant, and that was the only restaurant that we could kind of like relate to. I can't remember the place we were in. It was just white everywhere, and the kids were enjoying the sushi that they found there. But I couldn't eat that because I don't like sushi. So it's one of those things that you start going and doing, and out of it now you start realizing that actually amongst we got two kids, Tawana and Hope, and Tawana is a different character. He's a different person when he's traveling, and I enjoy seeing that. And if we're at home, we don't see that at all. He's very caring. He looks out for his sister and things like that. And when they're at home, they're busy fighting all the time. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So, I mean, coming through, I really trust that those that do not know who we are and why we make the noise we make about property investing, if my plea tonight is that if you could just hear the simplicity of who we are, we're nothing special at this point, right? But all we are is two people grateful for the journey of property investing. So let's get into the nuts and bolts this evening. As a property teacher and coach, there's a couple of questions I'm constantly asked about. And I really would love that the reason that you were chosen as Investor of the Year in the big leagues, I really would like you to unpack that particular story within the questions that I'll ask this evening, because I didn't want to make it like so formal where I'm going to be asking you specific questions. But what I did know in my mind is that because of the common questions that are positioned, the overall property investing strategy that I constantly talk about, I knew that those are the things that I'd like to cover this evening. So I want to find out from you, being cash strapped, in debt, and I wrote about it. How did you start looking out for raising funds in anything in property as well as this particular investment?
Yeah, so look, when I was in that train room where we were, the two of us, for those 3 days, the one thing that gravitated to me was they was talking about the guy who goes out and source opportunities and then brings them to the table. And that term, or should I say that person, is labeled sourcing in the property space.
Yeah, sourcing agent, yeah.
Yeah, so I gravitated to that because it was just all about putting in grease, elbow, putting in your sweat, your time. And that's all I had. I didn't have money at that time. We were in debt at that time, around about 5 million or so. Actually, it was more at that time because we hadn't done the restructuring. So it was around about 7-8 million. And when I started understanding that you can actually find opportunities and other people can pay you for this, I just kind of fell in love, but I just didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So when the opportunity came through to have a coach, it's one of those things that sort of like resonated with me, because in the previous businesses that we had, you were kind of like my coach, and we were doing it the wrong way because we were like the blind leading the blind.
The blind leading the blind, absolutely.
Yeah. And we would go and ask other people things like that, and but they were not really accountable to us, or should we say we were not accountable to them in any way. So when the concept of coaching came in, I gravitated to that, and we chose our coach. And I remember the day that we were talking about. So in all of these CVs or profiles that came through here, who should we choose to be a coach? So we picked up a coach from there, and I just started getting the ball rolling in terms of looking for opportunities, because I knew how to do that already from my previous businesses. I wasn't scared of doing that. So I went on, I already started looking for opportunities, And out of that, I kept on very close to my coach. And eventually, when the right opportunity came on, I remember that my coach introduced me to some investors at that time, and people whom I didn't know. And I mean, that's the power of a coach. The coach also has a
Absolutely.
community that I don't have, right? And at that particular time, he knew in his community people that had money, or people who were the opposite of me. People had money and were short on time. I had plenty of time, but no money. And he literally just connected the two of us, and that was the beginning of my property investment, working with an investor for the very first time. But the
Wonderful.
concept of having an investor was not very foreign to me. I had seen it being done. I'd watched it on TV. I'd watched the Dragon's Den and things like that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
but
was
it was
our
it was
it was our measure of keeping educated. Yeah, I'm with you.
correct. But it was foreign when the moment came through to say, now we're looking for an investor. I was now looking at someone else who is, I don't know what to say, but I didn't actually connect the fact that an investor is just another person who looks like me. Uh,
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
so it's one of those things where when I was now in the mix, I was now looking for someone else who was going to walk on water and think that they are great, and
Yeah.
they're going to come with a Rolls Royce and say
Exactly.
and pitch up and say, "Hey, I'm the investor," things like that. Um,
You know, you're so spot on with that one. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, but it's just a perception, right?
yeah.
Because I mean, being in the corporate space, when they would speak that the investors are coming to the bank, I mean, I used to work for the bank. It would be a fiasco. They're preparing. There's a buffet stuff happening, and the building's being cleaned, and you get all sorts of entourage, securities beefed up, things like that. So you always looked at these people as higher people. So you would put
Absolutely.
them on a pedestal, and not knowing that the pedestal is just in your head. Your mother could be an investor, your brother could be an investor. Anyone with money can be an investor, and that
So
has
that,
been my
yeah.
learning so far.
No, that is absolutely, absolutely amazing. You know, you touch on a number of concepts there, and I really want to thank you for that because,
Yeah,
one of the questions that I keep getting asked, so how am I going to be raising funds? And some people will come into my classroom or they will message me. I'm struggling to raise funds. And when I get down to asking the simplest of questions, and I realize we have built in our minds what an investor should look like, what they should smell like, what they should walk like. And I want to add on to what you're saying. In terms of raising funds, it's not that it's a simple, easy, actually, it's a simple task. It's not easy. You need to
yeah,
have your ducks in a row to be able to pitch that. Because,
yeah,
if one needs to, if you need to get a taste of it, watch Dragon's Den. Watch how some people are ill prepared, that they've gotten to national television and they're ill prepared. And I want to say this, it's not because they are ignorant. This is my opinion. But I just think when you don't know what you don't know, you only prepare as far as you know, and in your mind you've covered all the bases. One of the
yeah,
questions I ask in my class, like early morning, both on the online digital program that I've just released, as well as the class, I ask the question, so what is an investor? And we
yeah,
write down whatever the meaning is amongst the class. And I said, guys, can we visit these definitions at the end of the day? And just as you aptly said, Taurai, an investor is just somebody like you and me. An investor is a simple, everyday person that potentially has the access to a bond at the bank. And because they're working their 9 to 5 job and things are quite hectic and they don't know quite now how to, they will look for somebody like me and you. Well, not so much you anymore. I still enjoy the whole sourcing space. They will look for somebody that has got time and know how to put a deal together, and that person will be able to come through to a sourcing agent. So raising funds in the property investing space, you could tap into your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your uncles, your friends. And some of you probably thinking, hell no, I don't think so. It's okay. It's okay to also think that way as well. We're not saying those are the only people you can tap into. You can come into the SAPN network. Do you want to share more about SAPN, Taurai, the the South African Property Investors Network? I'm so used to saying SAPN, so I'm just catching myself with that particular acronym. Do you want to share more with us about SAPN and tapping into that particular environment to raise funds?
Yeah, so Jenna, you just mentioned something there that I just want to correct you.
Please.
And that correction comes from a very good heart, actually. Because people think that now, hey, TJ, you have won the big leagues, looking for money. It's not true. So as an
No.
investor,
That's not what I was talking about. I said you're not
I hear
sourcing
you,
deals.
but let me just finish up there.
Okay, I see you.
As for someone who's playing in the property space, right? I met recently. I met one guy who's got roundabout 300 and 320 buildings across Johannesburg and Pretoria. And one would think that a guy like this, who's been in the game for the last maybe 15, 20 years, is not looking for money, and he had invited me so that we could crack a deal together. And he was asking me for money, and I'm like thinking, dude, you've got a beautiful house that you've turned into an office. It's got jacuzzi, sauna, and everything, gym, wara. And there I am. I'm just the Mickey Mouse. I am, I've got my 1 million in the bank account, and I'm thinking we can crack a deal with him. So the skill of looking for opportunities is the primary skill that everyone who needs to play in the property space to be having. That skill never goes away.
No,
So
I
that's
agree
skill
with you
number
there.
one.
I agree with you there.
Sure. So skill number two is, okay, fine, now you've got the deal. How do you do the numbers, So, and not everyone understands how to do numbers, but that's why you guys, people like coaches, gives you templates. So
Yeah,
bless
because
people
we
like
will
you
be
guys.
expanding on that one shortly, yes.
Yeah. But on the other hand, you also have the skill where you're supposed to be knowing how to look for money. Because as the deals go bigger and bigger, you are continuously looking for money, And yes, there is communities like SAPIN, South Africa Property Investor Networks community. It is one of those communities where like-minded people meet. But is it the only community? Not really. There's a whole lot of communities.
Yeah,
and I always say to people,
I just call on SAPN because we constantly talk about SAPN. There's Epic, there's a whole lot of different places, but yes.
Yeah, so, and I always say to people, look, even a church is a network, at a beer hall, it is a networking, so anywhere where you're going to find like-minded people just coming into a group, how best can you gain entry into such kind of avenues so that you can look for money? And that's what it's all about looking for money, because you do not know whether John has some money, or you don't know whether John knows someone else who's got some money. So you're continuously networking and looking for money. Yeah.
Absolutely. So no, awesome. Thank you so much for all of the variables. So just a correction, I'm saying I'm still a sourcing agent because I enjoy being on the ground. It does two things for me. It brings an income in, but it also keeps my skill of teaching how to get started in property alive and relevant. And I'm able to take some of my students to a deal. So my knowledge experience is constantly on the growth path because of what I
Yeah.
do. And what I was saying about you is that it's not that you are no longer sourcing deals, you're just no longer a sourcing agent. You've just taken it to a different level. I remember the day TJ came home and said, you know what, babe? I'm done looking for houses. I have just realized the same amount of energy that I use to look for a house, I can use that same amount of energy and time to look for a building, because I'm still going to look for finances to finance that particular property. So why not go big? And that was one of the deals that you had presented at the Investor of the Year. So would you like to share with everyone still listening, uh, how did you raise funds for that particular opportunity?
Yeah, so I think it was, in hindsight, this particular property and that's the deal that I presented at the Investor of the Year award, and it got us to get through to get the award. And basically, what it was some form of a abandoned warehouse. And when I say abandoned, it was right in the middle of town of Boksburg, where there was a lot of activities happening. But out of that, what was happening was that it was heavily vandalized. And from there on, I had reached out to an estate agent. And with that, the estate agent, introduced us to the owner, and we put in an offer. But with putting in an offer, there's a lot of things that one can now start playing. You can either just put in a straight offer, go to the bank. You can put in an offer and do an installment sale. And because of the nature of the house, of this particular building, we just said, well, we're going to do an installment sale, and they agreed. So you test the scenario, and you push your boundary, and that's what happened in this case. So we got it on an installment sale for around about 700, and we paid about 50,000 as a deposit. That 50,000, it was money that we were already holding on from someone else at that particular time, that we were already doing business on. So all we just did is we carried it on onto another business, onto another project. We communicated
Of course,
to
with the
them, and
permission of the investor, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
and
just clarity there. Yeah, yeah.
and they were comfortable with it, and we moved that money in there. So that's what secured the deal itself. We moved on from there. We needed some renovation money, and out of the installment sale, we asked them that we could do the installment sale in about 4 payments, and the 4 payments was going to be right at the end of the transaction. So coming down to the renovations, we had our own codes and things like that, and we started just scouting out for money, and we knew exactly how much we were going to be getting as a return. So we offered a certain return on that money. At average, I think we were offering around about 13 to 14% eventually, on that 400. And the work started. When we started the work, we didn't have all the 400. I think we had around about 200 at first, and we devised a plan to say, how best can we work around this thing? And because the building was in a certain shape, so we decided to split the building so that it is in a phase, and immediately we can start doing some rental. And that rental started helping us also to put some money on, once there was tenants, and we're now recycling that money now onto the project. So in a nutshell, that is the deal that got me to be nominated and win the Investor of the Year. But anyone can do this, right? What I did.
Absolutely.
But I also shared in a whole lot of challenges that we got. I mean, I remember during the renovation phases, our contractors lost 2 buckets on site. They were stolen, in that area. I started also learning that, before I had gone through into this building, we were working through on like 2 beds, 1 bath, or 1 beds. So renovations could go in very quickly. So I'd get my guys over a weekend. We tile up a kitchen and a toilet and, bathroom. It's done, over a weekend. And the whole house, the renovation is done. But this was the first project actually that took in a little bit of time for us to conclude. And it needed planning. It needed a good professional skills that we didn't have or accustomed to at that time. And all of those things kind of like came in to bite us a little bit later, because now some of the renovations were going up, some of the work were being redone because it wasn't done right the first time. And those are some of the other challenges. And I'm glad that I'm not the only one who faces these challenges, because as I was talking, all the people were agreeing with me,
Absolutely.
Like, yes, yeah.
I like that you say that, because, coming into property investing, many people have the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed type approach to it, that I have seen, and I've been in front of many people's journey that have started
Yeah.
in property investing, both on a training side and a coaching side. And many people have this belief that it's sunshine and rain, it's sunshine, no rain. And yet, it's
Not at all.
a different set of work, and you see different kind of things coming your way. I remember some time ago, there was a song called, "What the more money you see, the more problems you come across." So it's like when you see a different discipline, you come across that particular discipline's problems. But I think the beautiful thing here is that it's okay, because going back to what you shared earlier, is that when you are in control of your own destiny, it makes this stuff, it's okay. It's doable, because you're going to find a solution, you're going to get through it. Whereas if somebody else has moved the goalpost and you're working hard and you get there and you think, hey, dude, what happened to the goalpost? So thank you so much for sharing with us about raising finance, and just sharing about tapping into different communities, the different definitions that we have about communities, and the different ways we see community. Some people are going to say, well, church, I feel safer. Others will say, your church, no thank you. Some will say, oh, family, yay. Others will say, oh, no family, no thank you. Some will say, now I must get a bond. But just think about it. Somebody else is going to be paying your bond. And if you put on the right strategy on how to pay off that property investment that you've got along, you're not going to be waiting the 20 years to have it paid up anyway, because that's, of course, a different conversation. And you've mentioned renovations. So if the renovations for the 2-bed, 1 bath, or 1 bed, 1 bath would take over a week, and why did this particular property investment opportunity that you got involved in, why did it take a lot longer, besides the obvious thing that it's big? Because it was multi-use, right? So it was little apartments and shops type vibe going on.
Yeah, so when you're doing a 2-bed, 1 bath, your space is confined. 60 squares out, or maybe 90 squares, that's it.
Yeah.
But when you're redesigning a mixed use, there's lots you need to go through in the designing phase, and out of that, the planning part of it, and all of those things. So when you're coming into such kind of things, yes, it's big, and if it's not planned properly, it becomes bigger.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and also if you don't have the right men for the right job, that takes you a bit of time. I guess a small example is, it takes me about 6 months to just change a door handle at my house. But for my contractor, it takes him like five minutes. He just comes through and changes it. For me, I need to still find the right screws and how it goes in, and I've got all my entire tools box out for the entire day on a Saturday.
And you got YouTube open.
Yeah. So I'm not the right guy for the right job. You know what I mean? So that's something that I've learned on this journey, that if you don't have the right man or the right skill, you're going to lose some money paying the wrong guy. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And the condition of the property, when you find it to, when you find a property, what condition rings your bell?
What do you mean by that, Jen?
So, for example, some people, when they are on property 24, they'll
Yeah,
scroll and they think, oh, this is so beautiful. This house has got everything that I need. And I'm going to go and buy this house and make it a property investing opportunity. So there's no
sure.
work that needs to be done. So the type
Yeah.
of the condition of the houses that you look for, or the properties that you look for, what condition are they in?
So look, the condition to me doesn't really matter.
Okay.
And I know that some people might want to say, hey, you need to go and look for the house that's the bed house in that area, things like that. That's kind of like the obvious things,
Yeah, it's obvious only
where
in property
people,
investing, I might say.
sure,
Okay.
where people would think, hey, if I buy this and I put in an offer, a very low offer because this place looks run down, I can turn it around. Um, that's the obvious thing from an investment perspective, but people also tend to, I think, as I've been doing more and more deals, it's not really about what the place looks like. It's really
Absolutely.
just about, it could be a brand new place. It could be an old vandalized place. You could make a good deal on a nicely built house, and it looks nice compared to the vandalized house. So for me, the principle is quite simple. As an investor, I'm of the view that the money is where there's a problem. If there is no
100%.
problem, yeah, and if there's no problem that I'm solving there, I don't think those people are ready to sell the house for me. Um, so just today alone, I was having a meeting with one of my partners, and we were talking about a building. We don't know where the owner is, potentially in the UK. And this building is very, very close to a certain amenity in Johannesburg that I won't mention. And out of that, the challenge really is that we know that the building is hijacked. So the problem there's a bigger problem that we need to solve for. But we can literally buy that building for kind of like a 1 rand, because of the circumstances or the problems that are associated with this building. But now we need
Absolutely.
to spend a lot of time from a legal perspective in making sure that we are solving the problem.
Yes.
When you are solving the problem, that's when you are creating the deal, right? And that's a skill that one needs to get to as you go along. Do I always get it right? Not really, but that's the principle of it for me.
No, wonderful stuff. And the reason I ask these questions is that, both you and I may be in the same house, we may be married, and we also have our vested interest in property investing, but we still see things through different ways. We still see things differently, and it doesn't make it wrong or right. I remember
Yeah,
that in the beginning, I was what TJ's just explained. That was not even in my mind to begin with. In the beginning, we were taught go and look for the worst property on the best street. Textbook, right?
yeah, yeah,
But through this journey, what we have then discovered is that when you are solving a problem, it doesn't always matter whether that particular property is vandalized, not vandalized, distressed, not distressed, fix me up and not fix me upper. The bottom
yeah,
line is you're solving a problem, because when you're solving a problem, both parties walk away with a measure of a win situation. So I really want to thank you
100%.
just for giving us some insights into that. This evening, guys, we've spoken about how to raise funds. We've spoken about the background one has. We've spoken about the type of deals that the deal that has got him into the big leagues. The big leagues. I loved it, guys. I screamed my guts out for him. I remember that
Yeah.
particular evening. It was actually a week ago, right? Today's Thursday. Yeah, it was exactly a week
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember how torn I was a couple of months ago when I found out that my daughter's gospel show year end is in the same evening as the Investor of the Year. I was cut up about it. It's not that I didn't know what to choose or how to choose, but I was cut up that I had to choose. That's where my cutting up
Yeah.
was. And I dabbled in my mind like, how is this going to work out? Because her gospel shows at 7 o'clock. And according to the agenda that I hadn't gotten at that time, things sounded like it was pretty much going to be finished with the property investor of the year evening by 10 o'clock. And I was like, this is so not cool. And I remember even 2 weeks prior to the investor of the year, I was talking to Andrew and he says, okay, Jen, I'll see you. I think I'm like, Andrew, I'm not coming. That evening's my daughter's. That evening at Sapin, I was literally just sweeping my lips across the floor because everybody was asking that question, and I still shared with TJ the beginning of the week last week. You know what, babe? I'm gonna go through to the gospel show at 7, and at 9 o'clock the latest, I'm gonna jump in the car and come through to Melrose Arch. And from 7 to 9, I was screaming. I was that mother. At least there was a mother 10 times louder than me. Everybody heard her. The neighborhood heard her. Our ancestors heard her. Everybody heard her. So I felt like at least I wasn't that mom, right? And I remember just being there, and I'm like, help me, dope, do. And when she saw mommy was there, her eyes lit up, her smile lit up. And I came home. I had a costume change, heels on, makeup on, hair did, dress on, and I drove like a maniac. Parked 3 minutes to 10, ran to the venue, shoes in hand. It was a sight. And as I
Yeah.
got there, I realized it was a red carpet. I was like, all of a sudden, I remembered shoes are in hand, put shoes on, be pretty, walk up straight. And coming through, and only to discover TJ had not shared his presentation yet. And I was like, oh, thank heavens. And so just being there, and he saw me prior to that. He came to say hello, and just like my daughter's face brightened up, I think his face brightened up. I know it. I saw it. I saw you. I think that just little smooch and that little lovies just maybe gave him that spring in the step, just a little bit. So nonetheless, anyway, that was for me epic, because this is exactly a week ago. It was around this time I'm driving like a mad woman, not knowing what was going to come out of there, and truly thankful that from 5 million rands in debt, it was not the debt that nothing stopped. Nothing stopped this house from moving forward. I can even remember another story very shortly before TJ talks about analyzing the numbers when he was going to tap into that. We started this coaching journey, and at one stage, I just thought, like, I'm done with these two, because TJ is classic. He found a heritage site, the first house that was built in Windsor West, and he held on to that deal. He saw plans with that deal, and I was like, my guy, can we just carry on with 2-bed, 1-bath? What happened to 2-bed, 1-bath? But again, I really just want to encourage everybody listening this evening that wherever it is that you are, know something for sure, whether it be day, midday, noon, or night, whatever it is that you are pushing, whatever your struggle that you are pushing, always remember that if you've got a goal in mind, you may veer off the path, but that will bring you back. And I remember veering off the path and then coming back and saying, you know what I've learned, what I've done, and the skills that I've harnessed, I'm not going to stop. TJ didn't stop. So from 5 million rand in debt, the 5 million did not stop this process. I wrote a book, released it in September. TJ's won Investor of the Year, big leagues. And think about this. That was 3 years ago, exactly 3 years ago. What will you be doing 3 years from today? We would never have predicted that 3 years ago. Not that we had a small mind, but just to even put the concepts into play at that time was what we were looking for. Like you said, we were no strangers to finding opportunities. We were no strangers to making a hustle. But just to see how this particular strategy was going to pan out, that was interesting to see. So I really would like you to talk us through when you analyze an opportunity, and any opportunity, regardless of what problem you're solving. How do you go about analyzing it? You know, some people call it running numbers, others call it analyzing the deal, others talk about income minus monthly operating expenses, but all goes back to the financial part of property investing. So how do you analyze a property investment opportunity?
Yeah, it's pretty simple, Jen. You know, one of the things that I learned from Robert Kiyosaki is that you just need to start from where you are, or honor your space. So once you own where you are right now, that you've just started fighting the battle from there. And so when you are at point zero or wherever you are, start small so that you can understand the concept or you can understand the process. So let's talk about a one bed, one bath, right? So you're buying it for, let's say 160,000. And I'll give you an example of the one that I bought exactly like that. So
with the 1,000 rand deposit.
Yeah. So you buy it for 160,000, right? But firstly, before you even buy it, you want to see exactly how much properties in that area are selling for. And there's tools like these ones that you can quickly double check. And once you've done that, you now know exactly what's the how your exit is going to be. So my exit around this property was around about 450, somewhere there. So when I already bought it for 160, I knew that I'd bought in some equity up front. There's some money that I've bought already. And with that, I went on to put in around about a 60,000 Reno. So I was all in now around about, 220 somewhere there. With closing fees, we can just quickly say we're around about on 230, 240. So there was some money to be made if we were going to sell it. And if I then look at that alone, is you look at money that you're putting into the deal and how much money you can get out, right? That's the simple mathematics of it. You then go fancy and say, hey, return on investment. So I put in some money. What is the return on investment on the project? What is the return of investment on my cash? So it's cash on cash. You can go all fancy. But the bottom line is, how much are you putting in? How much is your own money that you're putting in? If you had to put in a bond, it's not really your own money. If you pay for it, what kind of return are you going to? It's going to be left for you. If you have to consider other things, like if you go the route of renting it out, what is it that you can now consider, or you need to consider to put in? The small things like levies, if it's in a complex, if it's not, small things like rates and taxes, all of those small amounts, they can chow up into your money. We knew in this property that we were renting it out for 5,000. So that is how kind of like I understood the process. So I understood the process of buying. I understood the process of holding it, because we went on to hold it for around about 8 months. And we were collecting rent there, 5,000 on it, and all our expenses per month was around about 1,500. So we're banking in some good money, around about 2,000 every month. But that's not all, right? When you are now going into the next level, and this is what I learned from Robert, The next level is to add a zero to it. So once you're on 160,000, if you add a zero on it, you're now on 1.6 million problem that you're solving, right? Again, if you add another zero to it, that's the other problem. So you have learned how to solve for these small problems. Once they are small, you understand how much tiling is in a small unit. So if you're adding a zero to that buying price, or even the project cost, it basically means that the fundamentals, the principle of it, you're understanding it, and you're just going bigger. That's what it means.
Absolutely. You're fantastic. Really, really appreciate your insights. So I've just got two more questions for you before you can sign out, and I also say goodbye soon. Is how does it feel today? It's 1 week later, knowing that you won the Investor of the Year Big Leagues Award. How does that make you feel?
Nothing has changed. I'm still doing dishes at home.
Life is rough.
Yeah, it is. I thought maybe some things would change, at least I don't have to do dishes and all the other chores, because, I'm an Investor of the Year, but unfortunately not. But I mean, it's a sense of accomplishment on a personal level. It's a sense of appreciation from my colleagues that are recognizing me in the community. But above all, for me, it is really a sense of we are on the right direction, because I would have never gotten through to this award had I not been with the team that I work with and that I work for. So I'm not alone in this game. I've got an awesome team that I work with and work for. A lot of people already know them. Hubert, Rita, Daniel, Bevan, Slee. Those are the people that kind of like push me in terms of, this is what we need to do, and this is the direction that we're taking the business. So all of a sudden now we have a business. And that business is, it's just working with like-minded people that want to also to change their own narrative.
Absolutely.
So what it basically means for me right now, Jenna, is that we've got this accolade. How can we make it great tomorrow over and above what we now got? And that's what it means for me today. And we're having a conversation with the team to say, Grace, it's not about keeping momentum. We have already beaten this milestone. What else can we do better?
Oh, fantastic. Very, very humbling indeed. And then the last question for this evening. First, I want to say thank you again. I know I've been thanking. It's just my mom taught me manners. Just thank you again for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're
I
thanking
don't
me
take it.
because you've gone over your time. As an Investor of the Year, I've got many interviews.
There was time. No, you logged in
Yeah,
late.
you wanted 30 minutes. You're like in an hour already.
Well, what can I say? We love hearing from you. Just on a closing note, I want to say, the insights and the nuggets that you've shared with us this evening has been awesome. And we really are thankful for that. And do you have, or rather, should I say, not do you, what would your closing words be? Encouragement to everybody that is listening today, that's taken the time out of their schedules, because we said this is what we are doing today at this hour. They committed this hour to themselves to learn. What could you share with the community at large?
Yeah, so I've got 4 standard things that I always say, look, you need to be doing. And it's a recipe for me. It has worked for me, and I know that it works, and it's still working. Number 1, get the education. You need to get that education. There's plenty of ways that you can get the education. Could be a book, could be a training seminar. Jenna holds all of these seminars and things like that. There's plenty of other people that are doing the same. So get some education, right? The education is just going to make you be aware that there's stuff out there. Number 2, get a coach. You need someone that you're accountable to, someone that you're paying money so that you're accountable to. I've got those people. I don't have one, I've got a few, right? Number three, you need to be around like-minded people. And for me, like-minded people playing Mickey Mouse, I don't like it. I like to be in the space where I am hanging out with people that are doing better things than I am, so that if I'm ever to get stuck, I know exactly who to ask, right? And number four, whilst you're doing all of these things, start from where you are and take action. And if you don't take action, your balance sheet, your numbers is going to change. The learning that you're going to be getting in all of these seminars and so on, it just becomes like information. It's like reading a newspaper or things like that. I don't know if there's still newspapers in this day and era of digital. But the point is that it becomes free information that you can use at a braai. But you could be utilizing the same information to change your balance sheet and potentially change the legacy of your own. Yeah, so that's me in a nutshell, Jen.
Awesome stuff. So thanks so much again. I'm going to share just a few parting words with everybody that is still listening. But you are most welcome to exit, do your thing where you're doing your thing, and I'll continue to do mine. So thanks again so much, Investor of the Year, Big League, Taurai Jack. We appreciate it. Next time, please bring your ornaments if we have to share and talk with you.
I didn't know it was a requirement, otherwise I'd have brought it along.
No, I just thought I'd play a hate because I know you left it behind. I spotted it. Before I got into my side of the office, I spotted it. I'm like, I'm just going to Yankees train just a little bit. And of course, you don't cave in for anything. So thank you so much. I want to say we really appreciate your time, your insights, and your nuggets. So you can say goodbye to everybody. If I've got another 7 to 10 minutes with everybody else, I just would like to share some stuff with them.
Sure. Thanks a lot and God bless. Bye.
Cheerio, TJ. So guys, there you have it. Hey, we cannot cover everything in just this hour. I've tried my best to cover as much as possible by asking the right questions. But more so, I want to say to you is that you need more to determine at this particular point of where you are with what you have. What path is going to work for you? You see, Robert Kiyosaki shared with us, there are many doors to financial heaven, and we opened the door of property investing. Property investing then opened the door of time freedom. Time freedom, there was a monopoly reaction after that because I'm then able to work on multiple income streams once. And only once I've been able to master one set. I didn't open all the doors at the same time. I opened the property investing door. And with that, it allowed me time. It allowed me time to be an entrepreneur where I was able to do training and coaching for learnerships and things like that. So it opened that particular door. And when I get anything coming through the door and I'm solving issues, problems along the line, I'm then able to be a problem solver. So in opening up the door to property investing, it has allowed me to open up all these other doors to my life that I never knew existed, that I never knew that I would have this particular opportunity to be sharing and interviewing. Even though, yes, he's my husband, I don't take his time for granted because there are some days he's working proposals until the wee bits of the night. But in our time freedom, there are times where in the day we are able to say, let's go and pick up the kids, or let's go and just get the kids and we can go and get some ice cream. Some things that not everybody has access to, right? So I'm really so excited to make an offer and share some stuff with you as many of you know. So I just want to ask this question. Would you like my help in getting started or potentially unstuck in property investing? If that answer is yes, then I'd like to say, listen some more. If that answer is no, then I'd like to say, thank you so much for your time. And it's at this point that, you're most welcome to leave. So I have prepared something awesome that I know you will benefit from immensely. The training that I offer delves into a variety of information, techniques, and strategies from which you could particularly choose your personal favorites. Like I've chosen still to do sourcing deals or joint venture. I still like the creative finance side of things, right? My 2020 vision is how now can I take it into Airbnb? Because that's also a creative way. I don't necessarily have to own the property for me to run an Airbnb, right? But what if I was a property investor? And what if I bought a property in a space where it's quite a demand for Airbnb? Could I not pay off my property in a faster way than the traditional rental options? So these are the different techniques and the strategies that I'm talking about. There's so much information. And in this particular offer that I put together, we talk about the beliefs and failures and what it teaches us, getting started in property investing, the different passive and active income property investing strategies, using other people's money to buy property, how to find property investors, which entity to use when we are buying these properties. And when you ask entity, what do you mean entity? I'm talking about, some people ask me, do I buy a property in my name, in my company's name, in the trust name? And this is what we touch on, right? Then I also talk to you through the lessons through my property deals, because like TJ and I, when we started, the answers we have today was not the same answers we had back then. So there's a lot of lessons that I believe that as I impart, that you get to knowing through my particular property journey. And then we literally find an opportunity in the classroom and do calculations to put the things that we are learning into practice. And on top of this particular training, I've created bonuses that I know will help you accelerate. One of the bonuses that I absolutely enjoy is a personalized coaching session that you choose to have before or after coaching, or before or after training. There's going to be a lot of new things coming your way, preparing yourself for training. Now having this bonus, this added feature that I decided to add into this particular training that I do, having my personal time so that we can just have this conversation, right? That particular personalized coaching session helps shape where you're going to, and also gives you direction of, hey, how's about this or how's about that? Because I know the type of questions people do ask, but I know that you are in a unique journey and you may want to ask things pertaining to you. So that's why that particular session, over and above this particular training, is something that I offer. I gift this to you together with the training. The second gift that I give to you over and above this training is a book called Powerful Entrepreneur. This particular book I had found during my coaching sessions while I was busy going through coaching. This particular book, as small as it is, it's punchy. It brought to my awareness that I'm not alone. There's a lot of emotions that we go through as an entrepreneur, a lot of different journeys. Also to bring to my attention what else happens in the entrepreneurial world. And this is the second gift that I give to you when you decide you're taking this particular leap of faith, coming to join me at my one-day face-to-face training. It's not only the training you're going to get things that's going to help you gear you up for this journey. It's going to help you take you further than the one-day property training. And the third thing is an absolutely awesome podcast where you will listen to how to go about determining which entity to use when buying property. So it even takes the training that we do during the day, it takes it to another level. Why? Because now you're going to have the basis, the fundamentals, and these gifts that are put in place help you to accelerate your journey. And in this, I want to say to you, I've put this together because I know the struggle. I know how difficult it can be. So if all this did was help you create a step in the right direction towards goals you want to achieve, would it be worth it? You see, what I've learned over time is that money is just a tool for exchange. You spend money to get something greater in return. We can only hope. Sometimes we buy a pair of sneakers and it's an expensive brand, and the next best thing we think, this sneaker should have taken me 3 years because it was X amount of money, and those sneakers take you 6 months. Was it really greater in return? It's a comparative one needs to think about. But what if you could shift your disposable income from things that do not bring you a brighter tomorrow? What if you could shift it to assets that can assist you to start your time freedom and your financial freedom journey? You know, there's a awesome student that I met that's become a friend. She draws, and she also likes baking. And I truly believe that in all of this creativity, if you've got something like drawing and baking and running events and all of these different things, what if property investing just created you enough time or more time to do that thing that you love? You know, just think about it. So without much ado, I just want to share with you this, is that when you decide you're going to shift your disposable income to get you into a space that's going to bring you to a winning space, and you spend it on something that's going to bring you long-term fulfillment, how would you feel? Time is whizzing by. I know that. Each month, money comes in, but sadly, time does not. We're ending a decade, and we're about to embark in another decade, not just another year, another decade. This time we had together was really interesting, sharing and asking TJ about his journey, me chipping in as I do. I get overly excited sometimes, but I've also believed that chipping in is also at the right spot, you know. And if we leave right now, you'll slip back into whichever old habits that you may have. So I want to say, if you want to change, you need repeated exposure. Like he was talking about like-minded people and things like that. You can't rely on information alone. You need an accountability partner, like he spoke of. You could be reading a book. You could be starting with training. You could be starting with a measure of education. And I believe we need to surround ourselves with like-minded people. So I want to say my personal two choices I had today and have every day. I can go absolutely cheap and sell as many courses as possible, or I can sell a little bit more expensive, right? And ensure that my classroom remains small and devote more time and resources to you. And that's what I choose. I choose the second one. I choose to go small. I know how lost I felt in a class that was big. There's nothing wrong with it. I just felt lost. I felt like a misfit. And so I've created a small, safe environment where not more than 7 people can come together and we have a conversation the whole day about property. Yes, the training that I spoke to you about, including those awesome gifts that I've gifted you on top of the training, right? And the one thing I do know is that I choose to spend this time together with you, shaping your path, shaping your journey. But at this point, I believe you've got two choices. One, you could either just settle for with what you have right now and keep getting what you're getting right now. Or the second thing is, you can make a small investment and give it a shot. If it works, awesome. But if not, I am this ridiculous. You will get a money back guarantee. If you can show me that what I've shared with you and what I've trained you, the skill that I've imparted, what we do practically together, if you can show me that that does not work, I am absolutely happy to give you back the money, no questions asked. So I just want to say, life could be like how I used to have it. Some days I would wake up glazed, look in my face, tears down my cheeks, thinking, how the heck are we going to get out of this debt? Until property investing found us. Even though it found us cash strapped and in debt, I think it made us more hungry for the fact that we were where we were, right? And this too is what you could have, much like what TJ shared. We are no special. We're not something special. We believe we're just ordinary, everyday people. But with the knowledge that we have, we make things better. You see, our baby was about to turn 2 when all of this stuff was going down. We had hectic 9 to 5 jobs. My son was at school. The homework they get in grade 1 to grade 4, I was like, is this child in university or something like that? Amongst all of that stuff, we decided, because we don't want to remain where we are and we want to move forward, that we'll push beyond. So I know that what I've put together is good. We've reached our milestone as FHC Consulting in 6 months. Actually, it was 6.5 months when we reached the milestone of literally educating 100 people. That was my milestone. And I do it in a class, a small classroom, very, very small classroom. So you must know it had to be repeatedly done. But what I do believe is that just a week ago, launching this particular this course online in terms of a digital form, it allowed us also to take the word much further. So I want to say, we will be meeting. Will you be there? I'm going to drop the link below. And if this is something that you are interested in, read more about it. Click on the link that you see in the comments, and then read more about it and see if this is something that will work for you. So I just have to say to you, again, we are nothing special, yet look at what we were able to accomplish this far. You heard what TJ was able to accomplish. And I want to say to you again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your paying attention. Thank you for being gripped in everything that we've shared this evening. Right now, it is in your hands to click below and decide, am I opening the door to financial heaven? So I want to say thank you so much again. You have been absolutely awesome. And I will respond to any of your questions that you have, comments that you have, just so that I can assist in making this journey worthwhile. Take good care and have an awesome, awesome time.